Doug, hello.
Frank, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I wanted to have this conversation with you because it is Pride, and right now celebrations are a little bit different this year. But I wanted to start and have a conversation with you about what it's like to be working as a gay man in corporate America. What have your previous interactions been inside of organizations? Being yourself or maybe not being yourself, and I want to talk about that in regards to what you've seen for LGBTQ rights within a workplace.
Sure, good question. So prior to Softway, I actually worked for a company up in the North Houston area. And the owners there, fantastic people. I love them. They are like family. However, it's a little bit more conservative than a Softway experience where everyone's just a lot more accepting. There, I got a lot of pushback. I was always ridiculed for the ideas that I had. I was always told that maybe things were too risky, and things always ended up coming back down to I was a little bit different. A lot of the people there would not expressly say why I was different, but there were a couple that would, never to my face, but always behind my back. So being in a corporate environment is always very interesting when your mannerisms are not quite what people are expecting.
So how has your experience changed in an organization like Softway? And I know we talk about bringing humanity back as one of our kind of our vision statement, a tagline that we like to use. And I wanted to know, like, have you experienced that in our organization?
So the thing with Softway is, of course, you have had experience with LGBTQ people in the past. But there were things that I would do when I first started Softway that some people had never seen before. I'm a pretty loud person. I like to just be a little bit more colorful than other guys. And so I know this kind of just, maybe I guess a good word would be not startling, but just surprising.
Okay.
And the thing with Softway is everyone was so just out of the gate, super open, super accepting. If they didn't understand anything, it wasn't like a guardrail that came up and shut me out. It was a door that opened up to a conversation of, so how did you do that? What does this mean? And then they would actually start engaging in that kind of humor with me. And it's something that I've never experienced before inside a corporate environment.
What are some of those tactics that allyship can look like as people are starting to embrace diversity and inclusion within the workplace?
Sure. So to change your world, sometimes you have to change your mind. And if you are an ally, if you are open, maybe that's not where your mind has to change. But maybe if you see or hear something, if you see that there is a conflict, or you hear a joke being said, or you hear comments being made behind someone's back, you need to change your mind from, okay, I'm just going to pass this and let it go, to be a true ally, be an anti-discriminatory person or anti-racist person, and then just speak up. Hey, what's going on there? Why would you say that? What examples do you have of this kind of behavior? Like, what makes you feel this way about this certain, whatever that topic is?
Right.
Changing your mind to actually make actionable movements towards being anti-discriminatory or anti-racist could change the organization from a very micro level, right? Then that then just ladders up to then if you need to change your mind on other things.
So we're not necessarily talking about starting with a process change. We're starting with a behavior change.
Correct.
Right? And that behavior change could lead to a process being enacted that protects people and that creates a system that actually creates equity, right? But
Indeed.
What we have to start with, if your organization isn't providing that framework, it doesn't have that, that flexibility, starting with your mindset, listening, learning, engaging, being uncomfortable, and that's really the way that someone can be more of an ally.
Indeed. And being okay with being uncomfortable, not only in the fact that maybe you're being exposed to something that you're not used to, but maybe you're the person on the other side of that that's calling someone out because of that. being okay to be uncomfortable in that scenario also. I'm not the most comfortable calling someone out because of something,
Right.
but I have to be okay with that really awkward feeling when you say something and they turn around and they're very awkward back.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting personal story, but I was talking to a family member about Softway recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday, and they scoffed. They literally went, and I had to stop and say, you know, at this very moment, I have a opportunity to do something that people are very afraid of confrontation, right? And anything that's different than what they've seen in the past, they're going to look at and immediately reject. And that is not acceptable, right?
Absolutely.
And we have to learn how to be better.
Absolutely. And in cases like the one that you just mentioned, those kind of interactions are so incredibly important. One, because this is someone that has a personal relationship with you.
Right.
So there's a trust, there's a bond there. There's a camaraderie. There are so many things that you do agree on. So there's already like some friendship there, right? Now that you're calling this out, this is in a very private environment where everyone else in the room may or may not agree with you. And this is not something that's going to be a celebrated comment on Facebook, where it's a cute little clap back or something super witty that people can put little laughy faces or hearts behind. This is a very intimate moment that you are confronting someone that you care about. Those are the most important kind of conversations to have.
I want to talk about racism, but not about racism in the general sense of racism. I want to talk about racism within the LGBTQ community and the realities therein, because I don't think a lot of people recognize, for a group that's extremely inclusive, there is still racist tendencies within this group. Can you unpack that for us? Because even saying that feels weird.
Yes, absolutely. And even for some people within the community, it's weird. Anytime that you are painting with sweeping generalizations, you're always going to have discrepancies in there. And that is something that happens all the time with the gay community. It is as diverse as you can think of any other kind of community, any race, any faith system, every political position, and even when it comes to racism, is closely held within the gay community.
Right.
And this spans more than just what we call good looking or what we all aspire to be. Cisgendered, masculine, white, perfect body. That is something that is always sought after. It is something that all the white guys aspire to be. It's also something that's displayed in all kinds of advertising. It's super hard to find even gay travel. Now things are getting a little bit better because of pushback, but there's been a lot of, all the depictions of LGBTQ people are always going to be the tall, tan, fit white guys. And a lot of Black and people of color, trans people don't feel included in certain areas of the gay community simply because they're not.
And, I think this is a very interesting topic to bring up, because if we go back to the origins of Pride, this was actually founded by trans women, right?
Absolutely. So Pride actually started as a riot, and the riot started as a result of police brutality. The Stonewall Inn in New York, people were being pulled out of the club or pulled out of the bar. And only until two trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, they are the ones that started pushing back at the police, ended up into a 6-day riot. And that then in turn started sweeping the country and then the world to what we know as Pride today.
That's amazing. And so in this moment in time, what would you say to the LGBTQ community in regards to the intersectionality of Black Lives Matter, all Black Lives Matter, and Pride? What would be something that you would share with that community as we continue to unpack whatever's happening right now?
So what I have noticed is in about the past 5 years or so, a lot of LGBTQ people have stepped up to solidify the teachings and the understanding of gay history.
Hmm.
It is quite simply put that gay culture would not exist without Black, trans, and people of color people. Would not happen. Whether you're looking in the drag scene, whether you're looking in the music, what we call our gay anthems that we're all dancing to during Pride Month, all the way down to the civil rights that we have today, nothing would have been accomplished without Black people or our trans community and our trans brothers and sisters. And I think it's super important to make sure that we are communicating these stories. We're sharing this history. We're keeping the younger generation up to date with all of the history that's really laid the pathway to where they're able to do and be who they are today so openly. That would probably be my most important key there is making sure that we're communicating that history to everyone.